The Orlando Magic are looking for the missing piece of their team to turn into a championship contender. Now we know what they're going to be using on the trade market to try to find that piece, but will it be enough? We're going to talk about that, plus the players reportedly that they could target this offseason. Plus Giannis basically all but says that he's going to be staying in Milwaukee, at least for now, and we're going to look at the teams with the best trade assets to take advantage of all the movement that potentially is going to be going on around the NBA this offseason. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, Darius Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today, y'all. So this one came out yesterday, in which we now kind of know what the Orlando Magic are now looking to put out there on the trade market to try to find the missing piece of their team. This one comes from Kevin O'Connor and Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated as well. He says this: I've heard that the Orlando Magic are interested in trading Cole Anthony and Jonathan Isaac with their first for an upgrade there. Now, this comes with the Orlando Magic really feeling like they are a team that is right there to be, they're a piece away from being a contender in the Eastern Conference. Now, a lot of people were there heading into last season. I think with the way that last season went with the injuries, and even after Paolo and Franz came back last year, the Magic never really quite found their rhythm again, the way that people hoped they were going to have coming into the season. But there's no doubt about it, the Orlando Magic are an extremely talented team. And the fact that they feel very confident on their core that they have with Franz and with Paolo, it makes a lot of sense there. They are missing some offensive firepower. And while Jalen Suggs went down last year, he was not able to play in the playoffs for them this year. But he took steps offensively, make no mistake about it. Shooting-wise, scoring-wise, he took some steps for that team. But his best attribute is defensively. And so the Orlando Magic now want to make a pivot. Not really a pivot, but they want to go out and find the missing score that they need to add to that team. But the question is are those assets going to be enough? Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac together make about $29 million combined. Cole Anthony has a player option after the 2025-26 season, so it could be a one-year deal for a team that doesn't necessarily want to keep him. And maybe that's what they look at when it comes down to that. But you got to ask yourself, is that going to be enough? And are the Orlando Magic going to have to come away with giving up more future first or something like that? Maybe Anthony Black. What are they going to have to give up if they really are looking for that final piece where they feel like now they're a contender in the Eastern Conference? With the Boston Celtics being, projected to be a little bit weaker coming into next season, of course, with all the things going on there, the Orlando Magic are trying to take their number one defense. They allowed the fewest points in the league last year, and they're trying to take that now and use that, add an offensive firepower weapon to try to get now to being a contender in the Eastern Conference. And I say this, I like a lot of the Magic's team. I like a lot of this team. This one comes from Chris Mannix, who says this: their defense is championship level. Paolo Banchero is good. Franz is good. They need one more shot maker. They finished the year as 7th in the East. They're one shot maker away, one offensive player away from being a top 4 team. Again, they're right there on the cusp. Organic improvements, they're going to get better, and one more offensive player, they're legit. They're a team I'd really watch. They got some young pieces out there. They have some draft capital. I mean, if they are willing to deal Jonathan Isaac, and they kept him for 37 years, keeping him through every injury he had during his career, but that's a team that I think is going to be aggressively looking for an offensive player. So we'll see. The Magic have 2 first-round picks in this draft at number 16 and number 25, which could be included in any trade talks that they look to using Cole Anthony, using Jonathan Isaac. If that's the package that they're going to be using, the teams that they're trading with better value the number 16 and number 25 pick, because, again, Jonathan Isaac, while he's turned himself into one of the better perimeter defenders in the league, and hats off to him for what he's been able to turn his career into, because, Jonathan Isaac, for him to even find his niche with how many injuries he's had. He played over 70 games last year as well for the first time in his career, the most in his career. And he is defensively, exactly what Jonathan Isaac can bring. He's probably not going to turn into the offensive weapon that at one point in time people were hoping that he was going to turn into, but he is a player that defensively can help some teams. So if you're looking for a defensive anchor kind of, Jonathan Isaac has the ability to do that. Now, I do think he added a little bit too much weight last year, which I think contributed to him. He was able to play more games than not, but I think that if he gets that weight back lower, goes back to being more out on the perimeter than trying to be like the small ball 4 or 5, that type of thing, I think that's where you're getting best out of Jonathan Isaac, especially he's 27 years old. He'll be 28 next season. And not to say that, it's done for Jonathan Isaac, because it's not. I think he's going to have a long career now as a bench depth piece for teams. He only averaged 17 minutes per game last year because they were trying to keep him healthy as possible. But, so that's what you're looking at when it comes to Jonathan Isaac. Cole Anthony, he took a step back last year. They didn't play him as many minutes either last year, so there's that aspect of things for him. But it has to be those picks. And I wonder if that's going to be enough for the Orlando Magic to try to find or try to get what they're looking for out there. Now, according to insiders, right, is that the Orlando Magic have a couple of targets on their list, and specifically Anfernee Simons and Darius Garland. Now, we've heard that the Cleveland Cavaliers have taken calls on Darius Garland, but they're not necessarily shopping Darius Garland. And now with Darius Garland and the great toe surgery that he had there, that's going to leave him out 4 to 5 months. Reportedly, he'll be ready to go by the start of training camp. I don't think that Darius Garland is going to have this huge trade market right now. I think the Cavs are going to hold on to him. I think they should. And then take a look at what his value is going to be out in the open market in the summer of 26. That gives him a potential another long playoff run as well. And hopefully he could be healthy by the playoffs. So maybe you have that if you decide to then make that pivot if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that puts you to Anfernee Simons, right? And this comes from Brett Single, who says there's uncertainty remains around Simons and his long-term future in Portland. And even with that team making a 15-win improvement, that he is a player that could very well be gettable this offseason. He has a salary of $27.6 million in 2025-26. So that puts that combination of Cole Anthony and Jonathan Isaac's contracts right where he needs to be to try to get him. The question is, for Portland, a team that has said that they are trying to win, right? That's what they've said. Now, do I believe that? I have my questions about it, but they've said that they are trying to win. And if they are trying to win, do they want to give up Simons for just that package back? Or do they prioritize the picks, keep adding young players to this team? That's what it comes down to. Of course, Darius Garland would be perfect for this Orlando Magic team, a 2-time All-Star. We know what he can do scoring-wise. He is undersized, but the defense of the Orlando Magic may be enough there to where you're not really worried about it. But we'll see what happens there. The Magic are definitely going into a win-now phase. And while it's been reported that they have also sights set potentially on like Kobe White with the Chicago Bulls, even reportedly Cam Thomas if he's made available, but I doubt that those players are going to be there for him, but they could very well try to make that swing if it comes down to it. So we'll see there what happens. They've also been mentioned as a suitor for Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but I don't think that does a lot for them necessarily with the offensive impact that they want. So the Magic are trying to find their way to being a contender in the Eastern Conference next year. They should have been last year. It's crazy that they were able to stay in the top 4 or 5 with Franz and Paolo out, and then they dropped down after they came back. But I think this is a team that's rightfully so looking to push their chips in right now, and we'll see. Internal development every year from Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero is going to be a big thing there as well. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac, and their picks this year, their 2 first-round picks, are going to be enough for them to land the offensive firepower that they're looking for to get this offseason to try to add themselves to an Eastern Conference playoff race next year? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. With that said, Giannis Antetokounmpo, there's been a lot made about Giannis and what he can get out there in the trade market, if he's going to be moved, things like that. He had that meeting with ownership. We heard nothing about that afterwards. But Brian Windhorst added something to that, saying this: there's a reason we haven't heard anything, because Giannis Antetokounmpo has gone overseas to travel with his family. He's made no trade request to the Bucks. He's made no trade hint to the Bucks. The Bucks are proceeding with their offseason as if Giannis is going to be with them, and there's no significant trade talks right now. The plan is for Giannis Antetokounmpo to be a Buck. Now, he can change all that with a simple request, but that request hasn't happened, and it's no clear that the request is going to happen anytime soon. Giannis is a free agent up until the summer of 2027, right? So that leaves them 2 more years to try to build something around Giannis before then. And I've said before here, I've said it over on Locked On NBA, that when it comes down to Giannis, is that the Bucks have to play this very closely, right? Like, if Giannis is staying there, they owe it to Giannis, they owe it to their franchise to be as aggressive as needed to go out and improve the team year after year. And while I think that improving the coach could help some too, it seems like Doc Rivers and Giannis have a really good relationship. and they're doubling down the Bucks on that to keep Giannis here and keep him happy, cool, right? If that's what you want to do to keep your franchise together, great. But you have to be aggressive. But I think that the Bucks have to play this close to the vest, because if you trade a lot of future assets, right, the 2031 first-round pick is probably their best trade asset that they have as it stands right now. But if you go too far into your bag and trade too many picks, who's to say that while Giannis hasn't requested a trade now, that depending on what happens next season, that changes? Who's to say that he's giving it the next 2 years, where he'll be 32 almost 33 at the end of the next contract, and then he can go out in the free agent market and see what's really out there for him? There's a lot of different potential options there and routes and avenues that this can go to, where even if he's not asking for a trade now, that doesn't guarantee that he's not going to ask for one later. So if I'm the Bucks, like you just have to be smart in this. You have to be smart in how you're planning on using what you have here. And when you look at the Bucks and their salary cap table and stuff like that, like, yes, they were able to get under the second tax apron, which is really good. That adds some more flexibility for them, right? They're still $73 million above the salary cap, but they're beneath the second tax apron. And this offseason, they're going to be $40 million beneath the second tax apron, which is really good for a team to be able to avoid that. That means they can take more players back in a trade than they send out. That's all good things, right? But then you look at the Dame situation. We don't know what Dame's going to look like. Having the injury that he had late into his career, it sucks. And so we're going to see what Dame is at 35 years old, what he's going to look like next season. You got Kyle Kuzma, who you made a trade for that just frankly wasn't good for you. Bobby Portis is still under contract. He's an expiring. You have between Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton, and Kevin Porter Jr., you have almost roughly about $25 million in expiring contracts, which we know expirings can net you something, especially if you want to pair that with your picks. That's a possibility there. So the Bucks have a little bit of flexibility here, way more than they would have had if they stayed above the second tax apron. And how now does the GM use that to try to build something around to keep Giannis in Milwaukee long term while also competing? Giannis has said it. He wants to compete for titles. And hopefully the Bucks are going to continue to be willing to do what it takes to keep him here, but we shall see, right? It's not going to be easy for the Bucks to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo happy. It's not going to be easy to, even with the wide open East, to necessarily be a contender in the Eastern Conference, especially with the injury around Dame, right? That's $54 million. You're not going to get a lot out next season just because of the injury, if nothing else. All these things play a factor into how much the Bucks can really change this team's makeup enough to be a team that has a chance. And I guess we'll see how successful they are in it. But as it stands right now, looks like Giannis is staying in Milwaukee, and that's great. And we'll see what happens there. Now, again, we'll see how much that changes, if it does change at all. But Giannis Antetokounmpo staying in Milwaukee, from the information we have now, let's see if that information changes at all. But Giannis is supposed to be part of one of the more wild offseason. Kevin Durant, we talked about it yesterday. The reporter is that's trade maybe all but done and maybe just waiting to be announced. I don't know how much I believe that, but there is talk around that for sure, right? But then you have to look at what teams have the best assets. And I think that there are a few teams that have some really good assets that they can use to try to trade in this offseason to get a star. One of those teams, of course, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think when you look at it, what they have, as far as expiring salaries in 2025-26, they have Kendrick Williams at $7.2 million. They have A.J. Mitchell with $3 million, Jalen Williams with $2.2 million, Lou Dort at $17 million. But I think they're going to try to keep most of those guys. Now, they do have 3 picks in this year's draft, 15, 24, and 44. But I think when it comes to it, you're probably going to see a consolidation of picks by the Thunder, right? They have only so many open roster spots because they've had so many draft picks over the years. So I do think that they can consolidate 15 and 24 to look to move up in this draft and draft a player. And I think that's going to be the thing that you see. I don't think the OKC Thunder are going to be looking to make some big franchise-altering move because they're in the finals right now. And they have a really good chance to win that. They are the favorites to win the NBA championship this year. But with that said, we saw a team like the Golden State Warriors take advantage of the assets and things that they had to add Kevin Durant after they won a title and then lost another finals. So you can't count them out. The Thunder have the players, they have the contracts, they have the assets. If they want to get involved in any trade talk going on this offseason, they can. It's just period, point blank. They can. Will they is the question. I doubt that they will. So let's go to the next team, and that's the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are a team that are primed to make a big move. Now, with that said, I get Rockets fans in the comments all the time. Why make a big move for a star when you can keep developing your young talent? And that's the place that this Rockets team is going to have to figure out where they are. Reportedly, at times last year, Ime Udoka wanted a proven star on this team, whereas the GM wanted more so to continue to build organically like they have to keep what they have going on here. Now, with that said, they have Fred VanVleet, see what they're going to do with his contract, which I think that they pushed the date back, but that's coming up soon. Jacques Landale with an $8 million contract as well that's non-guaranteed. That's really their biggest trade chips as far as expiring salaries potentially. Outside of that, they, of course, have Jalen Green, that they reportedly are open to moving in one of those deals. Jabari Smith, reportedly. We even heard that Alfred Sengun in the right deal could be gettable. They also have a top 10 pick in this draft. They pick at 10. They pick again in the second round at number 59. And so when you look at also their incoming future first-round picks, they have all of their own picks. They have a pick swap with Brooklyn in 2027. They have a 2027 pick via the Phoenix Suns and 2029, right? So they have a bevy of picks as well that they can use. Right now, that if the Houston Rockets wanted to get involved in trades, they have the combination of young talent, especially for a star player that is a team that's looking to reset their roster. So if they're trading one of their star players and they're looking to go rebuild, they want young talent, they can offer that. They can offer future first. And the benefit of what the Houston Rockets have here is that they have Phoenix's first. And so what that means is that even if you did trade, for example, for Kevin Durant, let's just say that for this case, and Phoenix, it's their own pick. But if you trade for Kevin, if you trade for Giannis, if you trade for anybody who's there, right? Even if the Houston Rockets are a great team, let's say they go on playoff runs, they go on a finals run, whatever it is, those picks aren't the Houston Rockets' own picks. So that doesn't change where that pick is. Now, you got to look at the team that it initially came from as well. But so that's a benefit. And for the Phoenix Suns, in the case of Kevin Durant, getting their own first-round picks could be more valuable than first-round picks from other teams as well. So that's the thing with the Houston Rockets. It's going to be interesting to see how much the Rockets are really willing to go in this offseason, and we'll see how that shakes out. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets. We've already heard they are. Cam Johnson is the player that they are looking to really try to move around with. They have the 8th pick, the 19th pick, the 26th pick, the 27th pick, and the 36th pick in this draft, which the 36th pick is right outside, like 6 picks outside of the first round. So that could be more valuable depending on players that fall and drop and things like that. They have all of their own first-round picks. They have a 2027 pick from New York, a 27 and 28 pick from Philly. That's top 8 protected. They have a pick swap with Phoenix or New York. They have a lot of picks. And so the Brooklyn Nets, if they want to make a move, they can. And especially using Cam Johnson, especially if it's with a team that they can. They have flexibility. They have trade assets. They have cap space. The Brooklyn Nets are a team to watch out for. Now, I don't know if they're going to get involved as far as the high-level Kevin Durant type trades or anything like that, but they are a team that has the salary cap and things to really get involved in some of these trades that can go down this offseason. I think it's going to be really fun to watch what they do. Next up, the Spurs. And, of course, the Spurs being named as one of the teams interested in Kevin Durant, it makes sense here. You got Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. One or two or not both those guys are looking to move in a potential trade. They're open to moving that. They do have expiring salary in De'Aaron Fox, who I think they're going to want to keep there. Harrison Barnes at $19 million is also an expiring contract there for them. And they have 2 picks in the lottery, 2 and 14, as well as the 38th pick. So the Spurs could get very, very creative here. They're going to keep number 2, it seems like, but you have number 14. You have number 38. You have a lot of young players that you can use there as well. They got 6 of their own picks. They got a pick swap with Atlanta. They got another Atlanta pick in 2027 and 28. They got picks there. The Spurs are a team that, while I think they should keep the course and stay with the young course that they're on, if they decide to forgo some of that and bring in a veteran piece, they have more than enough assets to get it done. The Spurs are one of the teams to really watch to be involved here. And then the last team, the Utah Jazz. Lauri Markkanen's contract at 4 years, $196 million. While it's a big contract, I think that's a nice trade piece for them. They have expiring contracts in John Collins at $26 million, Colin Sexton at $19 million, Jordan Clarkson at $14 million. So they have that as well. They have picks at 5, 21, 43, and 53 in this draft, and they have all of their own first-round picks as well as picks from Minnesota, Cleveland, and 31 from Phoenix. So this is a team that has a lot of assets as well to really look out for. And I think it depends on how teams view Lauri Markkanen and the acquisition there. but they're definitely a team that's going to be very active this offseason and has one of the most assets to get active and to stay active this offseason as well. But that's the teams. That's really what the teams that you're looking at when it comes down to that I think have the most assets out on the open market this year. And we'll see how that all shakes out for this team. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. Which teams do you see being the most active this year? Let me know that down below. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making an episode. Bye tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.